One of the number one reasons why women struggle with dating and relationships today is that they choose men who are not ready for anything real. Ladies, there are lots of great relationship-ready men out here. However, you need to learn how to choose them. I wrote this book to teach you how to do just that. Get your copy of Choose Well, a simple formula to determine the best man for you on Amazon today.
All right, so we have a very special guest in the house today. All right, y'all, so I'm going to introduce you to my male friend. His name is John. And we're going to have a conversation about women. So we're going to talk about women today and what is going on with women. What is happening with women in the dating landscape? And this is from the perspective of a guy. Okay, so John, tell us how old you are.
I am 46 years old.
Mm-hmm. And what's your relationship status?
I am currently single, divorced.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you've been married before. You have any kids?
I have 2 children.
Okay.
Both boys.
Okay. And so you've been out here dating, kind of, since you've been divorced. Tell me what you found. What is dating like out here since you've been divorced? How long have you been divorced?
Separated from my ex-wife for 6 years, and I think, how long was it? Maybe 3 or 4 years actually divorced.
Okay, so it's been a little while. Okay, so what is the time out here being unmarried? What has it been like?
Up and down.
Okay.
Very up and down.
Okay, you tried dating apps?
I've tried dating apps. I do not really get out very much, so it's hard to find women. It's just my line of work. I don't come across women, and being a single parent, you don't necessarily have time to go out. So I have used the dating apps.
Okay. And what have you found on the dating apps? What is it like?
First off, I'll say towards the beginning of me using them, they definitely were more fruitful. 2024 is definitely on a whole new thing. My experience is, the things women complain of, men not being consistent, men not showing up, women are just as guilty. It's women are just as guilty, and I'm not going to go into the man-woman thing because I believe everybody's kind of on this right now.
Okay, but the women say they're on the dating app, so clearly they want to meet somebody, and they say,
I don't think so. I think they do it more or less kind of for the likes. I don't really think they're very interested in actually meeting someone. It just, I don't know, a boost for their morale to have a bunch of men actually like them and seem like they have interest.
Okay, so there's a percentage of women, it might be a big percentage, that you think are on there just to get their ego stroked. So it's an ego stroke to kind of put up a profile, put the picture up, and see who all likes them.
Yes.
Okay. But if you do meet women, like if you do, I don't know, text or talk on the phone, what are those women like? Or if you've gone out with any, what are they like?
I can be kind of, well, I'm not even sure if that's fair to say. I was going to say that I'm kind of choosy, but I don't really know if that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say there are things that I just won't deal with. So a lot of the women that I deal with tend to be somewhat kind of professional, tend to be attractive, tend to have their life kind of, they have control of their lives. Yeah, that's typically the women. Let's see, most of them have been single moms.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but I'm still single.
Yeah. Okay. And so, what's your ideal woman like? So, what's the ideal woman like?
A friend of mine just asked me that question, and I don't know. That's a hard. I'm not gonna say it's a hard question to answer. I guess in my head, I don't want to go down the route of, you know, this person has to be the specific person. I kind of want to, you know, keep things open because I kind of believe that you never know what you're gonna get. You know, you might meet a person and they might have a certain quality, and you never knew you wanted that quality in a person.
Okay, so you're open.
Yeah, I'm pretty open.
Anything you don't want?
I mean, there's plenty of don't wants. You know, obviously, I think most of us would prefer people to be healthy, mentally, physically. Um, you know, no excessive bad habits. I prefer a woman who's active. Um, like if I'm really if I'm really getting picky about it, when I say active, I mean actually like working out and such. But me and you just finished this hike, like that would be a thing as well. Someone at least is willing to go out and about and do things.
Okay. And then as far as her look, do you want or don't want?
Honestly, I mean, again, I don't know how to answer that because it seems like, in my experience now, the prettier the women are, it seems like the more issues there are, the more problems. I would consider the women that I've dealt with. I am starting to believe that it is about love, and when you grow to love somebody, you'll you'll see that person as being a beautiful person.
And what do you think about the BBL? Like, do you think most men want that?
I'm gonna say I would never speak for most men. I can only really speak for myself. I think it's pretty stupid. um, there's a lot of talk around that, and I do believe women do that for other women. I don't think men are actually asking for that. But I mean, I guess if we want to go back there, that's something I definitely expect and want out of a woman is to be your natural self. So I don't like wigs. I don't like BBLs. I can only somewhat handle some eyelashes, but the more real they are, the more I'm gonna like them. The more natural they are, the better.
Okay, so leaning more on the natural side. So not a lot of long glittery nails or caterpillar lashes or the big behind or the long weaved hair or wigs. Like, no thank you to that.
No thank you to that.
Okay. And what do you think women want? Like, what do you think women want from men? Like, you're saying women are guilty of doing some of the same things men do. What do you think women want?
Well, I can say one of the common things women say in their dating profiles is, well, I don't know why I'm writing this because y'all aren't going to read it anyway. Me personally, I always read all of it. Not just because, I want to know what the person's about, but I just find it to be interesting. Like people are interesting. If you give them a chance, people are interesting. So yeah, I read all of it. So I could tell you what women say they want, but I don't think that's really what they want. I kind of believe I'm everything what they say they want.
Right.
But, getting women to actually even take the time. And I mean, you're a woman. Like, I imagine people could be listening to this and be like, oh, he's probably horrible looking. But I mean, you're a woman. You can say what I look like,
okay,
who I am. But yeah, I mean, as a man, who do you have to be for a woman to be interested? Like that's a serious question.
I mean, women want men who are employed. Like we can safely say that they're employed and they're maybe passionate about something they're doing.
Yeah, that's kind of the crap women say. Like, oh, I want him to have a car. Yeah. Well, I got 6 of them. Oh, I want him, to have his own place. Oh, well, I have a house in one of the richest counties in the whole entire United States. Oh, I want him to have a career. Yeah, I got that. Okay. And it's still.
Not good enough.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Okay. All right, well, I think women want, like you said, it can be very subjective based on the woman, right? So I think it's going to depend on the woman. But there are what I consider to be the masculine starter pack, right? And then we work up from there. So the masculine starter pack is that he's employed, he's gainfully employed, he's able to take care of himself and any children that he's produced. He's emotionally healthy. He's fit or active. He's got the protector, provider thing going on. He's chivalrous. Like that to me is the masculine starter pack. And so it's going to get more specific depending on the woman, right? So some women are going to say height. Like that's a big thing. And I've already dispelled that myth amongst women that height does not determine the character of a man, and it does not determine what type of husband or father he would be. So height is highly subjective in the sense of, okay, you could want it, but some people are prioritizing it over character, and that's a mistake. So yeah, I agree. It's going to depend on the woman. And because women are so different, and they change like the wind. I think it just depends on the woman.
I think that kind of says a lot in the fact that you said this is what you tell women. Like the fact that they need to be told that a shorter man can have integrity.
Yeah.
It kind of says a lot. That's not good that you can't figure that out on your own.
Yeah. Well, critical thinking is like that's not a thing anymore. So everybody knows that people don't know how to critically think.
Well,
unfortunately.
There might be a lack of critical thinking, but I mean, this comes more into. I mean, there's a great big world out here, like. So if we went back in time, or if you were, dropped into like the plains of Africa, and it came down to like survival, like you would have to be able to make good decisions just to survive.
Yeah.
So, to make decisions for the best interest of your life, I mean, it's not even necessarily critical thinking. It's this over here is good for me versus like this over here is bad for me. So if we go left, is perfectly clear, but if we go right, there's, a bunch of lions and leopards. And to me, it's kind of sort of obvious, but apparently it's not. But I think that's just because we've gotten to a point in society where everyone's kind of taken care of to a degree.
Yep. So they lost those things. I was about to say that because we're not put in those environments anymore. Like everything is easy. Everything is easy. You can turn the tap. You can, you have water. We're not searching or looking or hunting for anything. And so I personally believe that we've evolved to a state where we've actually lost the best part of ourselves. Like modernism and modern day, like it's actually destroying the best part of what a man and a woman is. And that's not good. Like, that's not good. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of things that people don't instinctually know. People don't trust their intuition. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So,
Or maybe it's a lack of imagination. So if we go back in time where men and women worked together, it wasn't, men took advantage of women. It was men and women worked together. It wasn't there weren't desk jobs to go out to. If you went out to work, like back at the beginning of the time, it was to go fight off some beast for a piece of meat, or it was to go out and plow a field, pure man labor. And then there was someone who had to kind of stay home and cook, clean, and make sure the home front was taken care of. And men and women worked together to do so. But I think maybe you look back now. I mean, I think about when I was younger, watching like the first Star Treks, and they had their little communicators. And I remember thinking, this is back in middle school days, like, what if they had communicators? And now we have like cell phones that would put a communicator to shame. So I think maybe people had an imagination of like, where can we go? Like, how can we improve? Like, how much can things get better? And we live in a society in a time that, we see the fruit of it. We see the fruit of that. But it's almost like no one wants to think about, well, how far could we go from here? How good could things go from here? I mean, that can even be within like a relationship. It's always, well, if it's not diamonds and gold from the jump, like I'm not interested. Opposed to, well, if I get with this person, what can we build together?
right.
Maybe it'll be diamond and gold at the end of the road.
Yeah, they want it on the front end. They want it on the front end. No one wants to invest. No one wants to, like you said, come together with someone and see if they can create something great. That's a huge issue. Huge. And yet, we're all out here single and struggling, and some of us are financially struggling, like, to keep the lights on, or we need to come together. The only people that are winning right now are the people that are, like, selling homes and cars and all that. They're selling double of everything because people won't come together. Yeah. It's rough.
Well, there's no telling where that will end. Like, things are expensive right now, but they're only going to get more expensive. And like you said, unless you're blessed with a means of growing your money with the growth of the cost of living, most the 80% is going to be in that category of trying to keep the lights on and so on and so forth. Unless you team up and you got two incomes and you can start to kind of build and, build something for yourself, build something for your children, and then hopefully raise your children to be smart and responsible, and maybe they'll build for their children, and that's kind of how you turn things around. But that's a lot of, as you know, the way I came up, I tend to not be selfish. I tend to kind of think more towards the good of the family, the collective, opposed to, me just getting what I want at the moment.
See, that's what has changed in the culture. We are selling this hyper-independent individualism. Like, think of yourself. It's all about you and all of that. Like, we moved away from that. Away from the collective consciousness. Well, the collective consciousness is still a thing. I keep telling people it's the reason why, to be honest, we're in this mess. Is you get enough people thinking the same negative thing, and it will become all of our reality. You get enough men saying women are all bad, they're all crazy. You get enough women saying men are cheaters and liars and they're all trash. Yeah, that's what we're going to see. It's called the collective consciousness.
Well, you know where I stand on that.
Right.
Women, all men are liars and cheaters when that's all you choose. Like, when you choose the same liars and cheaters, like, I guess I guess all men would be liars and cheaters. There is such a thing as going outside of liars and cheaters to find somebody. And I would say, especially with the social media, a lot of people, I'll say it, like, I got no problem saying it. I got my 2 kids, and, money gets tight. But a lot of people won't say that. A lot of people, want to be on social media and push this image of, life is so great, life is so wonderful. So then it's sort of like, well, nobody wants to come out and just say, like, nah, money's tight. And then if people would just kind of do that, and then it's like, hey, money's tight for all of us. Apparently something's not working. So maybe something should be done about that.
Okay, so my final question is, you've been married before,
Mm-hmm.
and would you ever get married again?
So I'll answer that. I'm going to give you a detailed answer to that. Going through my divorce, which was horrible, and going through family law, the answer to that was hell no. Once I actually finally got through the divorce, and I met a couple women that made me, what I say, dream again, and I could see marriage with the right person. With the right person. Now, who that right person is, I haven't quite figured out I haven't figured that part of the equation out. Because it seems like a lot of women nowadays are just, they're in it for their own skin. They're not looking for the family unit or the couple unit. It's, I want what I want when I want it, and when I want something new, I just want something new. And then what I'm starting to learn now is it doesn't even necessarily mean they don't want that relationship. It just means they don't want it at that moment. They might come back, but I mean that's a whole other topic. So it would just take the right woman.
So you'd be open, and you'd be open, I guess, to not being married. If a woman said, I don't know if I want a legal marriage, but I want to be together, I want to build something together, or live together, would you be open to that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, marriage, there are definitely benefits to the actual marriage aspect. But as I remember, as I kind of said, the divorce process, my divorce process was not a good thing. My ex-wife, she was the one that left, but yet when it came down to actually getting divorced, it's like she didn't want to get divorced. And it cost quite a bit of money to kind of separate and regain my life back. So, the idea of having the government basically in control of your relationship, deciding when the two of you can actually call it quits, like, that's not ideal. So, yes, if a woman came along and she was truly about commitment and, it was all about us, because ultimately that's what I believe in. I believe in the relationship itself, not necessarily a marriage, but the relationship itself is what is kind of what I'm anchored in. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, this has been a really interesting conversation. I hope the gentlemen feel validated. I hope you all feel validated, because these are some of the things that you all always tell me. So you're not alone. There are plenty of other men out here who feel exactly the way you do, that dating right now is hard for men, just as hard. It may be harder for men than it is for women. So, all right. I hope you all got as much insight from this conversation as I did. Thank you for watching. And as always, stay open to love.